Sea of Thieves has a PvP problem. And no, the problem isn't that it has PvP, it's a pillar of the game. PvP has become the endgame content and the crux of replayable content in Sea of Thieves, but at the same time, it's become very stale. In a vacuum, who really cares? The veterans get to enjoy PvP with no real goal, as everything is already completed, and the new players get to deal with the PvP and learn how to get good. Sounds familiar, right? Although PvP has shifted towards stagnation, where it's still fun by itself, most good PvP occurrences happen with server hoppers and newer players, with one side being dumped on as the experienced crews are hopping in and out all of the time. The meta has been the same since Heart of Fire, where we got blunderbombs and chain shots. At the moment, it's get the mast down, stop them from raising and board. It's the same strategy because it's the most viable one. You can throw curses in there, but it's the same result, with a few meta-defining balls. Can you remember the last PvP update we got? Fort of Fortune was the last update that improved the state of PvP, and that was just adding another world event. Season 5 was meant to do that, but the small PvP tools they added didn't change the game, or even how we interact with other players that much. Fort of Fortune was great for revitalising the day 1 fort scrambles, the rush of emotion over losing or winning all that loot and fighting every step of the way to get it, which all burnt out in a few months. Most people just ignore it now. The skew of PvE content in the last 3 months has been great if you're a new player and if you're a returning player that just wants to experience new content but has caused PvP to creep into being a secondary function of the game. And why is that? There's just no reward for PvP if you finish your trading company levels. You'll get gold, but you can do that for doing anything, like you can eat a piece of food and you'll get seasonal renown, which also rewards gold. So we just PvP for fun, as there's not a whole lot else to do. I like fighting other players, I like doing it for fun. I love PvE content and grinding loot, but I'm not everyone. And then what happens is that all the new players who have come in and been marketed a swashbuckling adventure of Jack Sparrow or unearthing ancient gold under the sea come in and get dumped on by day 1 players and think they've been sold a lie. They might come back for it to happen again and again and then quit eventually. This is a huge problem for the longevity of the game. The PvP being the endgame content is actively hurting the longevity of the game. Old players are leaving because they've seen it all and newer players don't stand a chance. Now, adding PvE servers will do nothing to remedy this, just split the player base even more and ruin the balance of adventure. PvE needs PvP to be thrilling. Unless Rare plans on changing up the gameplay of PvE, that's why world events are so good. Tall Tales are the best iterations of Sea of Thieves PvE and should continue to release so they exist in a sphere outside this debate. Take Season 4 for example. The shrines actually had a great opportunity for PvP, especially tucking. Rare did have to come up with a way to save your loot from down below, which was a necessity by design. But there was no incentive for anyone to return to these. Imagine if there was a faction that accepted sunken loot specifically, then we'd see a lot more ambush and tuck plays with this. Although there are other smaller fixes that can reward players for PvP to encourage everyone to get into it. Make PvP a more expected part of the game and give veterans something to do outside of dumping on new players, looking for that one legendary fight. Arena support has been woeful, and to Rare's credit, they've said they're not updating anymore, so I guess fair enough. So this is to be expected, but small tweaks can keep players coming back with rewards and a few bug fixes. We're not asking for a new game mode, but adding something like a Sea Dog Silver Curse to attract people back would be fantastic, or even some leaderboards like emissary rewards. Another huge issue is that Reapers are a PvE grind faction more than anything, so you don't get guaranteed PvP when coming up against another Reaper, and a lot of new players will level it up through PvE alone, not realising it's meant to be a PvP faction. We did get the cannon rowboat as a PvP tool, but much like the harpoon rowboat, it made little difference to the combat. The Trident of Dark Tides is not good for fighting enemy players due to the loss of mobility and the slow handling, especially when compared to your starting weapons. I would love to see a new weapon that's balanced and good for PvP, even a new tool like the boarding axe or a rope that you can use to swing off things, or even in the vein of blunderbombs, firebombs or chain shots, just something to change it up a bit. Outside of PvP, Rare needs to accommodate a long-term reward system, and something I've seen brought up is raid-style content. This will be longer PvE missions or tall tales with endgame cosmetic rewards that are randomised with different rarity, and I'm not talking about in the style of all the recolours we get, but actual sets that can only be obtained through these raids. I hope when they bring out the Shores of Gold Voyage that this is what this will be. Well, why is this important? If you occupy the veterans, it will give the newer players room to breathe and not get attacked so much. I've seen multiple comments talk about how there's nothing left to do other than PvP once you finish your commendations. I know some people will never do PvE content. Well, then this game isn't for you, as I can't see any endgame content surrounding PvP coming outside of a couple cosmetics or commendations. On top of this, server hopping allows players to emerge and hunt straight away, then leave the server once they've cleaned it up. This is great fun if you're a hunter, but actively clears out servers which can turn a lively session into a ghost town as everyone quits after being steamrolled. Another change I would like to see is mandatory emissary flags. When Rare inevitably raise the level cap for the main factions up to 100, you should be forced to use an emissary flag to get rep for this. You can still earn gold without it, but you would need an emissary to earn reputation. People might raise this at an outpost and then lower it again, but rep would go up extremely slowly then due to no multiplier. That way, player interaction is brought right up and so will combat encounters. Ships of Fortune was a huge PvP update due to the introduction of risk versus reward. Rare would do really well to build on that potential, and Ships of Fortune fucking slapped. So more Ships of Fortune in the future and more PvP updates please. I hope this video makes sense. I for one really love PvP, but hate to see it stagnate and become the only replayable bit of content for a veteran player base. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on it. So is PvP stagnant and do we need a PvP update? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching, make sure you subscribe for more content coming every week and keep up to date with everything Sea of Thieves. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Oh, and Obsidian 6-pack giveaways are coming back soon. Keep your eyes peeled for that.